Hey guys, Chuck with X Mods. So today's kind of a big day. I have put a collective over 7,000 miles on the Polaris Expedition. This is my second expedition. The first one I put on just around 6,000 miles, maybe a little bit more. I got in a fight with a tree and ended up totaling out. I tried a couple things going up a real steep hill, tried to winch out, made a couple mistakes, and let's just say it didn't work out in my favor. So that was the 2024 expedition. I put, like I said, over 6,000 miles. And I gotta be honest, guys, I never once had a failure. I modded the ever living crap out of it. I put 35s, portals, S3 forward control arms. I ran it through the high speed desert, Interstate 40 doing 80 miles an hour. Took it to the sand dunes, took it to Utah, rock crawling. I took it everywhere. I never had a problem. There's a lot of naysayers out there that say that portals will destroy your ball joints, your tie rods. They'll destroy this, destroy that. That's just not true. What destroys your components, guys, is the driver. It isn't the components. Components are tough. You go beat anything hard enough, you're gonna break something. Had absolute success with the 2024 expedition. It took me about a year to build that one. Not a lot of people made a lot of stuff for it. DRT started to come out of the gate with a lot of the accessories, which is one of the reasons I chose to stick with DRT through my second build. Is that my last build had a lot of DRT stuff already on it, so I kind of robbed Peter to pay Paul, and then added a few more to the new build. So the new build took about 2 months. I already knew what I wanted. I already knew that a lot of people across the country are word trigged about the whole portals versus long travel thing. So since I've already done the portals, I've been there, done that. I wanted to do the mid travel from HCR. So the reason I went with HCR over their competition is at that time nobody else made a boxed mid travel. They're tubular. I'm not a tubular fan. And Thumper Fab, they're not all boxed. And at the time, they were having a lot of issues with axle popping out. So I chose to go with HCR Mid-travel because they're completely boxed. And they also work with SDI, Suspension Direct. The two together is just, man, this thing rides like butter. So did my other expedition, though. The other expedition on Portals 35s, electronic shocks from Suspension Direct, that thing rode like a dream. Ride quality comes from the shocks, not from long travel or portals or tires. All that stuff helps, but without a proper shock setup, it doesn't matter. So the 2024 literally had no mechanical failures. I had to rebuild a clutch, which in my opinion is a wear and tear item. I had to swap out some tie rod ends, some ball joints, twice. So it's not like portals add enormous amount of excessive wear that you're always turning around swapping something out. It isn't like that. It is the driver and not the component typically. Can they make something bad? Yeah, they can. But you go smash it. If you try to rock bounce any vehicle with portals or long travel and mid travel, you're going to break something. It's not the component's fault. It's the guy behind the wheel or the gal. Like I said, beat on it hard enough, eventually you're going to break. So the 2025 biggest difference between the 2024 was Polaris got cheap on us, guys. They took away the front forward camera, and they, instead of fixing the loud cabin noise that everybody complains about, they put a clutch kit in there to drop the RPMs down from 7,400 to 6,500. So the engine spins a lot slower, and hence it's quieter. They call it a clutch quiet kit. It ain't a clutch quiet kit. It's it's the guys. It's probably the guys in the engineering department say, well, if we slow it down, it'll be quieter. Well, yeah, it will be quieter. Um, I don't know, man. I think it's kind of a punk move. I think they should have done something different. If they wanted to make it quieter, don't take away the power. They're already underpowered for the weight that they are. So 114 horsepower out of a machine that weighs average over 3,000 pounds. Um, Man, to take away any power due to RPMs to make it quieter, I don't know. It did make some people happy, but I think at the end of the day, most of us put in clutch kits and tune these. So the RPMs go right back up to 8,800 so that we can travel around 75, 80 miles an hour, depending on where you live. Some of you guys don't have wide open desert, so not really an option. Um, so other than that, the 2024, and I got 1,200 miles on this now, so I've got good seat time to competently tell you at this time. Front camera gone, RPMs less to help combat the noise, and I've already got my first failure. One of my seals started leaking engine oil, so it's going in the shop in a couple days. It took 5,500 miles on my 2024 to ever take it to the shop for a mechanical repair like that. I just, I have a hard time saying that a seal leaking at over 5,000 miles is a failure component. These engines spin so fast. Um, for me, at 5,000 miles to replace a couple seals here and there, I look at that almost as maintenance. I don't really consider that a failure. It may be considered technically a failure, um, but that was I had a couple leaks on that at 5,000, maybe 5,500, and then but this one had a leak right off the bat, 500 miles. So um, other than that, I mean, there's really nothing to compare between the 2024 and the 2025. Their color scheme. Um, so let's talk about accessories. I'm going to talk about the manufacturers and why I chose them, and then I'm going to talk about the actual components. So, my number one manufacturer is DRT. DRT has been with the Facebook page since probably 2 or 3 months that I started this about a year and a half ago. And they've been involved in the group. They've done giveaways. I've met Landon at a shop down in California. They're the first ones to even offer the group a group discount. That's pretty cool. You don't even have to ask. You just go to the feature tab at the top of the Facebook page, and you'll see all of our manufacturers that support our page. As far as I know, we're the only Facebook group out there that has supporting manufacturers just for members, not for dealers, but for members. I'm not a dealer. I don't sell anything. All I'm doing is giving my advice and giving you guys my personal experience. That's it. Um, I don't make any money doing this. I do this purely for enjoyment only. Uh, I love traveling the country, meeting different manufacturers. It's my money, it's my time. I'm not hired by any of these manufacturers. And so for me, it's a pure hobby. I'm a business owner that does allow me the freedom to travel and meet different manufacturers and build relationships. Uh, it's kind of cool. I really enjoy it. It's my number one hobby. I still enjoy shooting firearms. I'm a big firearm. Used to be. Got a lot of guns in the safe, and I don't go shooting as near as often. I'm big into the 50 cals and belt feds and all that, and I just don't do that stuff anymore. I do enjoy shooting from time to time, but this is my passion, and I love being able to share my experiences with you guys. I love the fact that I can go travel and go meet people that own companies, manufacturing companies, and talk to them and even help develop, not help develop, but maybe put a bug in their ear about what you guys at YouTube and Facebook, what you guys want to see. So let's talk about it. Number one company, DRT. Uh, we're going to start with a mods breakdown, and then we're going to kind of talk about each one just a little bit. I don't want to bore anybody too much. So I'm going to figure out a way to put some pictures on this video as well so that it makes a little bit more sense. So DRT just came out with a roof rack. It isn't released yet. This is their prototype. I traveled down to California. I met Landon at his shop down there, and he just got done building it. He still has to make some adjustments. He mounted it up on my rig here, and I posted some pictures, getting feedback from the Facebook group. So that's kind of neat. And the fact that Landon and Camille at DRT care about your guys' opinion. They're not just pumping stuff out just to make a dollar. They actually care about what your opinion is. Now, they can't care about everybody's opinion. Like, what's that old saying? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one. So they do what they can. And the roof rack, I believe, is a knockout of the park. I would like to see a little bit more low profile. Just because I have to air down my tires. It does make it a little tall. Aesthetically, though, it gives it a very aggressive look. Very aggressive. Obviously, it matches everything else DRT has. Now, kind of back up for a second. Why didn't I go with Thumper Fab? Why didn't I go with AJK? Why didn't I go with Super ATV or anybody else? The quick and short answer is DRT was the first out the gate. So they already had stuff. When the Xpedition came out, they were the first ones that I saw products that I actually liked and had them in stock. Thumper Fab had some stuff, but they had long at the time they had long lead times. I didn't want to wait. DRT had it in stock. I ordered it. It was at my door in 3 days. Boom, done. So I was real excited. The Thumper Fab makes good products, very aggressive. AJK makes good products. Super ATV, Electric's a really nice one. I stuck with DRT for multiple reasons. One, I guess brand loyalty. You could say that. I'm not loyal to Landon or Camille per se, but I like the DRT stuff. I've got it on my Razor. I've got it on my Xpedition. I love the way it fits the lines. And I didn't want to mix match. I do like Thumper Fab's rear bumper, but it doesn't work on the XP. So that's not even an option. I do like their front bumper. It says that it will hold the larger winch, but then I can't put my Baja Designs there. And I want my lights over my winch because I rarely ever winch. So for me, matchy, OCD, kind of have everything match. I chose DRT. So the DRT roof rack, again, it's going to be available in probably another 2 months, give or take. They're still tinkering with some stuff here and there. I'm really excited to show off the final product. But again, I'll post some pictures of the rack down the road. I'm going to start with my mods build now. And then I'm going to kind of start from the top down just so that I won't forget something. So I bought the Rigid Industries 50-inch Adapt light bar. So this light bar is controlled by GPS. So as I drive down the road, the faster you go, the bar goes from a flood at slow speeds and it goes down to a spotlight at high speeds. Now, it requires some programming. Not a big deal. It took me literally 5 minutes. Slickest thing I've ever seen in my life. You speed up, you slow down, and the light bar does exactly what the car does. It opens it up and it closes. Negative. The cost is insane. I got it on sale. It was a demo. It has some scratches on it. I saved over 50%. That was pretty cool. Nobody makes a bracket for it. So I had to outsource a local guy in town, Cole Friday at Friday Racing, and he made me brackets. He's a whiz when it comes to CAD work. He can scan the car. He can, I don't know how he does it, but he makes stuff, and it's kind of cool. Um, I don't think you'd call him an engineer, but I guess you could call him an engineer. He makes stuff for me all the time, and it's pretty cool. So DRT roof rack, Rigid Industries 50-inch light adapt bar. Now we're going to get down to the other lights that I chose. So I chose Baja Designs, the LP6s, purely for aesthetics, guys. There's really no other reason. It is really cool that they produce over 11,600 lumens each. But man, they just look really cool. I looked at KC lights. I looked at rigid lights, and again, normally, like I was telling you earlier, I like to match stuff. This is where I mix match, and I don't have a problem at all. I don't think it matters. I think that Baja Designs makes a better pod than Rigid Industries, aesthetic wise and function wise. I don't believe they're produced on the same amount of power. So the power that comes off the front of this sucker, man, that sucker, man, I turn night into daytime. It's really, really bright. Do I need all that? No. Did I kind of do it more for aesthetics? I did. I love the whole light lookup, and I just get a kick out of it. So for me, my number one reason was aesthetics. Number two, I mean, it is very, very powerful. It's got a well over 100,000 lumens, not well over. I'm pumping out maybe 120,000 lumens right now of clean light. Some companies will say that they have a large amount of lumens, but it's dirty light. It's not a true number when you look at it on a scientific level. I watched some videos from Rigid, believe it or not, and it was pretty interesting. And so if you see Baja Designs or Rigid, and they say it produces 11,600 lumens, it's producing 11,600 lumens. Where the competition, especially the cheaper ones, you know, they're saying they're producing 10,000, 15,000 lumens, but they cost $100. Yeah, that isn't true. Snake oil, to say the least. I chose the Sector 7 mirrors, prisms. So, man, I'm trying not to bash anybody, but I'll tell you what, guys. Nobody's even in the same atmosphere when it comes to Sector 7. You got XTC, which is a great company. I'm not talking crap about XTC. You got Rigid Industries. You got other manufacturers that make very high-end, expensive mirrors, and they're not even close. They're not even in the same atmosphere. It's like they're playing Little League and Sector 7 is in the MLB. I mean, they're light years away from each other. There's no comparison, Sector 7 prisms, to anything else. They're not even, like I said, they're not even close. So, if you want the best, the Sector 7 prisms, you can't find a better mirror out there. They produce more power. They look cooler. They do integrate into your turn signal, which is something else I'm going to get into. Then I'll demonstrate the turn signals that I chose to go with. So yeah, Sector 7 up here. Everybody else is just down here. The same with the light bar. Nobody makes this kind of bar except for Rigid Industries. There's not another manufacturer up there that is making that kind of technology. They are not putting it out. The light bar has, I believe, golly, I think it's like 30 or so backlights. It kind of fades in. It does this like rotation through the rainbow, and you have to time it just right to turn it off, just so you could get the right back glow. I did it. It took me like 10 minutes. It took me forever. I got fat fingers, and because I've got so many different electronics, buttons, and switches, it was hard to push that button to program it. So, but I did. So, DRT roof rack, Rigid Industries 50-inch adapt light bar, Sector 7 light bar mirrors, Plus, I like the way the Sector 7s, the way they lay out versus the factory ones. Factories are straight up and down. The Sector 7s, and actually a lot of the aftermarket ones, they all go sideways. I really like that. They do fold in. So if you hit a tree, it'll just push it straight back. And everybody's worried about the snap off. You ain't breaking these things. They will fold in first. You get close enough. I mean, I guess if you roll it or something, I don't know. But I can't imagine it. So, and again, I'm going to talk about that. Let's go and talk. I'll talk about the turn signals. So, I chose WD. I chose WD on my. I chose XTC on my last one, and then after I had it for 6 or 8 months, I noticed that another company, WD, came out with one. What I liked about it is it had what's called sequential lights. So what that means is that as I turn on my turn signal, the LEDs kind of creep up here. Now here's the cool part, guys. So as they creep up, and I'm sure they're timed exactly the same, I can't see it in my eyes. It ties into my turn signals, or to my mirrors. So it starts here, but it ends way over here on my mirrors. Allow me to demonstrate. Got to turn on the key first. Whoo! Got to turn off the light. I just ruined that camera, didn't I? I'll bet I did. I better check. Man, I messed that all up. Okay, so you can see how it starts up here and then it kind of meanders up there. That's what I'm saying, guys. Sector 7, you know, they're not cheap. Man, they really got the technology down. If you're into buttons and switches and tech and really cool stuff, Sector 7's your buddy. They're not even a group sponsor. I paid full retail for these suckers. I didn't get a discount or any help whatsoever. So I'm just talking about them to talk about them because I absolutely love the product. Same with WD. They're not a group sponsor or nothing. I just love their product. It's a great product. XTC. So XTC, they have like a little LED strip that sticks to the bumper here, and it's like a straight deal. I didn't like that. Ryko. Man, I don't know. I don't remember Ryko's, but I actually have a Ryko on my Razor, and I don't like it because it's really clunky. So I'm not a big fan. I'm going to turn this off. So with all the different turn signal manufacturers out there, I looked at them all, and I actually removed XTC from my last one and actually went through the effort of putting in WD. It's that much nicer. I'm really happy with my choice. The lever is super butter smooth. I can't tell you how much I hate push button turn signals. They're so annoying. You know, I drive this on the street 7 days a week. It's one of the ways that I actually have racked up so many miles is that this is my daily driver. In Arizona, we have a lot of freedoms. We can have a AR-15 sit in our passenger seat, driving this down the road, and nobody's going to care. The XTC came out, the WD went in. So I've owned 3 of them, Ryko, WD, XTC. To me, WD for the win. Just doesn't seem to be any comparison. Quality wise, probably XTC. When I looked at their internal components like the brain and stuff like that, I don't know. I mean, it looked a lot better quality than what WD had to offer. That being said, the way that this lights up, I'd rather choose this over anything. Uh, DRT again for the win. I went with the DRT grill, bumper, and the DRT fairlead. So if you decide to go with DRT, a word of caution. Their fairlead doesn't come with their bumper. I think it should. And I don't know if I told Landon this. Everybody that gets the bumper needs a fairlead. It needs to be on there from day one. So, Landon, if you're watching this video, you should put that on and then maybe raise the price or adjust something, because I think most people would appreciate the fairlead being mounted to the bumper. In the comment section, leave us a comment. Landon, as well as the other manufacturer guys, they read our comments. I've met them in person. It is awesome. I met the guy that Dan Woolley. Actually, let me break this down first, then I'll kind of break that down. So DRT grill, bumper, fairlead. I found this billet hook at a sand show up in Utah one time. I thought it looked cool, so I picked it up, and I don't think I've ever used it. Maybe once. Yeah, I used it once. It worked good. That's one of the things where I don't know if the biggest highest quality really. There's no ROI in that one. For me, it was all about the aesthetics. So let's talk about suspension. Everybody out there in the suspension world their goal is to make it ride better, ride smoother. So what do? They swap out springs with they're all rated by different poundage, 350, 400, 450. The heavier the car, the higher the number. That's typically how these guys do this. Then you got companies that do internal valving. They'll swap out the oils for a full synthetic to a synthetic blend. They'll put on bigger reservoirs. They'll build larger shocks. They're still light years behind Suspension Direct. They're not even close. Just like the mirrors guys, Suspension Direct makes the most technology advanced shocks in the world, hands down. Now, can King Shock Therapy or one of these other manufacturers build a better shock for desert racing? Probably, maybe, but that's all it's going to do. These are completely tunable. So allow me to elaborate. When you buy a Pro R, so the Pro R is what I had before the Xpedition, just so you know, and I don't miss it at all. 225 horsepower, weighs about 2,000 pounds. I don't care. Man, this is so much better than my Pro R. I bought a Troy Lee, and it was fun, but it ain't nothing like this. I'd take this over my Troy Lee any day of the week. So, Dynamax, whatever Polaris calls it, they give you 3 settings, right? Soft, medium, hard. However they label it, I don't know. It only gives you 3 settings, and that's it. So, what the Suspension Direct SDI, what they've done is that they give you those same 3 settings, but within each setting, you get a tune each setting. Okay? So, for example, if I say on my race desert mode, I want my body roll to be 75%, which means it's going to give you 75% more stiffness from 0, so that I don't get as much body roll going into a corner. I could tell the back end to react a little bit quicker than the front end. So the front end's a little slower than the back end, or vice versa. The settings are incredible. You really can spend some time digging into the settings, and within each setting, you can control body roll, pitch, braking, acceleration, Um, there's a lot more, and it's all programmable with the three parameters: the desert, the street, and I'm gonna say rock crawling. So within each three of those, there's many more adjustments that you can make within each of those, which is why the suspension direct company, Dan Worley, I mean, this guy, it's like a NASA. It's just the technology behind it's incredible. Um, if you got the money, go for it. You know, in fact, if you're looking for ride quality, don't worry about long travel or portals or anything like that. Start off with shocks. Just do the shocks first because ride quality comes from shocks, not long travel or portals. Long travel and portals add stability because they add width and they add length. Portals only add length when you add forward control arms. So just want to clarify that real quick. Ride quality again comes from shocks, not from mid-travel, long travel, or portals. And the way I've always told, and I've said it in a couple of my videos, so if some of you guys are watching this, I do apologize for repeating myself. Um, put a long travel kit on and don't do any shock work and watch what happens to your ride quality. Your ride quality will go down because you've added more weight, you've added more width without any compensation. So guess what? You spent $6,000 on a long travel kit and now it rides like crap. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen that on Facebook groups. Man, I just spent all this money and it rides horrible. Well, what did you do to your shocks? Well, nothing. Well, you can't make it wider. You can't make it longer. You can't put bigger tires, heavier, bigger rims, heavier. You can't add all this weight to the car and not compensate it by shocks. You have to replace the springs. That's just the minimum that you're going to have to do. Fluid, valving, adjustments, that's more work, but you got to do more. So that's why I chose Suspension Direct. They have the best shocks that you can get, um, and that was the reasoning that I chose them over all their competitors. Is that the tunability was awesome. I can change it while I'm in the car driving 50 miles an hour. I can just swipe down, hit a button, boom. It has the oh crap button as well, like in a Pro R. So if I'm going out and let's say I'm getting ready to G out because I didn't see it, I hit the button, it locks up all four shocks for 3 seconds. Um, it's got two rocker switches. So let's say I'm cruising along and I'm like, you know, I want the front end to be a little bit stiffer. I can hit one button, boom, 25% more stiff. Uh, Nobody else is doing that stuff. Everybody else is in the same line. They're following right after another. Let's do springs. Let's do synthetic fluid. Let's do valving. Let's do this. Let's do that. Same old, same old, same old. Suspension Direct's the only one that thought outside the box. Dan Worley's an engineering genius as far as I'm concerned. I met him. I visited his shop. He's got multiple buildings that have all this kind of cool CNC machinery stuff. He has built his own testing equipment so that you could put a shock in there and rebound it, compress it, rebound it, do all this stuff, and he could tell you everything about that. It is amazing. He's built his own testing tools to make sure the shocks are on point. Again, you want ride quality? Start with shocks. If you can't afford the suspension direct, because they are kind of expensive, obviously, then just start with springs and some fluid. You will notice a ride quality. Next, I went with HCR. So HCR Mid-travel, they call it a mid-travel, not a long travel. I really don't know why, other than, yeah, I do. So they're not a long travel kit because the shock is the same stroke. In my opinion, the way people talk about long travel and mid travel, I think a long travel kit needs to have a longer shock, right? So because you're stretching it more. A mid travel is making it wider, longer, and but it actually shares the same shock mounting points on the upper and lower point. So it's not really changing the geometry. It just makes the unit more stable, wider and longer, which is the whole purpose of HCR. Now, when you make it wider, you gain articulation. My portals with S3s was 83 inches wide. It had massive amounts of articulation. This unit is 79 inches wide. So because it's wider than factory, it can articulate more, even though it has the same mounting points on the shock upper and lower. Thumperfab doesn't do this. They've changed the geometry. It's one of the reasons I didn't go with them. In addition, I wanted a full boxed upper and lower control arm. Thumperfab doesn't do that either. They went with a full boxed upper and a boxed on the front, lower, and then they did the round bar in the back. And I remember in preschool, you know, you're not supposed to put the round peg through the square hole. It just looked goofy. I don't know. A lot of the stuff that I've done to my unit is purely aesthetics. That to me though seems like I don't know, an engineering goof. I'm sure it's intentional. I'm not an engineer by any trade, but I just thought it looked dumb. I didn't like it. I don't like tubular long travel, mid travel kits either. It looks too factory. If you're going to spend all this money on a long travel kit, at least get something that looks cool. To me personally, it just doesn't look cool if it's tubular because it looks too factory. It just looks like you got a wide unit. But when you have a fully boxed unit, there's another company out there, and I can't remember the name, that is also doing a fully boxed front and back mid-travel kit. They weren't out when I was making my choices. So I have no opinion. I didn't look into them at all. I don't even remember the name. So, but there are other options out there. I like HCR. I think it looks cool. That's why I went with them. And I wanted a boxed upper and lower control arm fully. You know, a lot of people talk crap about HCR with their tie rod extensions, that they're weak and that they break and all this. I had this at 68 yesterday, going through the desert through 2 to 3 foot whoops and ruts and all that. Floats like butter. I'm not having any issues. I kind of have to think that, again, it's the driver. I think you put the wrong person behind the wheel and you start smashing stuff. These aren't rock bouncers. I can break it. There's no doubt about it. I'm not having any problems. I was very hesitant on the whole extension thing, but now that I've driven it, now that I've felt it, I'm absolutely okay with it. I'm still sticking with stock tie rods too. I'm not going to a Heim joint. Here's my theory on that. So on factory Heim joints or factory tie rod ends, they might cost $40, right? To me, that's a sacrificial part. So if I hit a rock or something at a goofy angle, I can bend this tie rod or the tie rod end and swap it out for less than $100. But if I upgrade it to one with Heim joints, that's a solid shaft from point A to point B, which I almost did, but I'm glad I didn't. What is going to break? It isn't going to be that tie rod joint, that tie rod with Heim joints on the end. It's going to be your steering rack. A steering rack on this thing is like $3,000. Screw that. I'm just going to swap out a $40 part and call it a day. Maybe an $80 part if I bend the actual rod itself that's supposed to be straight, but then it doesn't. And I've done that a couple times on my first out with the shocks. A trail that I usually went 40, I was doing 60 because I was riding. It was so much more stable and controllable. I overdrove the environment. I shouldn't have been driving that fast. I hit a sharp rut at the wrong angle and I bent a tie rod. It wasn't a big deal. It cost me $50. No, you know, I took it out, swapped it out, got it realigned, and good to go. So yeah, I stick with stock tie rods. Axles, they do give you the longer axles when you buy the HCR kit. So I haven't had any axles popping out, and I've got a solid, holy cow, 800 miles on it. And I've gone rock crawling with the wheels in the air, high speed desert. I've had it on Interstate 40 doing 70 plus miles an hour. I drive it every day. I have yet to have any axle pop out of its housing. So for me, HCR for the win. Moving on to the tires. So I had a couple options on tires. As far as the manufacturers go, I'm not a loyalist at all. I chose the GBC, the Mongrels, the SQs, for one reason and one reason only. I've never owned them before, and they look cool. That's it. Nothing else. They look cool. They ride really nice. Now, let me tell you about my choice on 33s versus 35s. So, with my old Expedition, it weighed over 4,200 and something pounds. I took it to the weigh station just to weigh it. I wanted to find out. She was a heavy girl. I didn't want to do that with this one. I want to try to keep it lighter, which is why I chose a 33 over a 35-inch tire. I've had a lot of people say it's not a big deal. You know, it is a big deal. When you're traveling and you're driving it every day, that steering wheel gets a lot heavier with 35s versus 33s. It takes more time and effort to brake, more time and effort to accelerate. It's harder to steer, and they cost a lot more money. These tires, I know they're not that now. I think I paid $130 for these tires, and they were on sale. That was another reason I bought it. I do like a good deal. And so right now they're $350. So I got a smoking deal, and they're not even a group sponsor. I just happened to find the right deal at the right day. So for me, the 33s, they're cool. I do miss the 35-inch look. It's taller. It's a little bit more monster truck lookish. Performance. So if I'm going through the desert with 33s, I will pretty much outperform any side-by-side built the same with 35s. Less rolling mass, quicker to take off, quicker to steer. I will outperform a 35-inch tire. I know because I've owned it. I've done it. I could tell you right now without a doubt that a 33 to a 35, in my opinion, is a significant difference when you talk about rolling mass. It's a heavier tire. Heavier tires, they're just heavier. Does a 35 put additional wear and tear on your steering components? It does. Is it noticeable? No, not really. 6,000 and change. I went through 2 sets of tie rod ends and 1 set of ball joints. That was it. Out of all those miles I drove with 35s and portals and all that, and everybody telling me, especially in Tennessee, you know, you're an idiot. I literally had people calling me an idiot because I believed, and I still do, that portals are not weak. They're not a weak component. And I've literally had people attack me personally because of not because of my opinion, but because of my experience. Yes, I give you my opinion, of course, but I'm also sharing part of my experience that I've had with these machines. And my experience with portals the things are bulletproof. Man, I've hammered those things. I've jumped them and done all kinds of rock back. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. Never had a problem. Never had a problem. So for those of you thinking about portals or long travel and all that, man, they're both great setups. So I wanted 33s to be a little bit lighter, and I am happy. I do hit rocks a little bit more often, so that is kind of a down. But it's really just my positioning. I think, I don't know. I definitely got more scratches on the belly on 33s versus 35s. Mike, Metal FX. So Mike owns Metal FX. He's a good dude. I've talked to him multiple times. He spent a lot of time. He is also a group sponsor. So if you look under the feature tab and you go to Metal FX, they do give us a percentage off. I think it's like 10%. I can't remember. Maybe 5. I don't remember. it may also be one of the manufacturers that require you to call in, because there's different margins on different wheels. They have the economy wheel, then they have a more expensive, and holy cow, this one costs that much. Like, they got rims cost, geez, like $700 for one rim, and another on the other side, they got a rim that's $150. So you may have to call in. So the Metal FX, I went with the Slayers. Um, yeah. So these are, I believe, the Slayers. Very, very happy with them. They are a beadlock. I do air down probably 8 pounds going in the mountains where I'm pinching the sidewall. In fact, I've never put this one on the ground, but I've already got gouges out of the beadlock rim. Because even though she looks pretty right now, I do get it dirty, and it's got scratches, and it's got gouges. And so far, Metal FX has held up to everything I've thrown out their rims. I've had none of the lug nuts have loosened up. My other set of rims, that was a constant problem. In fact, I always carried a torque wrench with me just because I couldn't keep my lug nuts tight, and I don't know why. Maybe that was a portal issue, because with portals you get a different hub. I don't know. It could have been. I don't know. But with these rims and this setup, in 1,000 miles, I haven't had any of my lug nuts loosen up on me. So the reason I chose Metal FX, they seem to be more of a unique wheel. It's so hard to be unique in this world. Everybody's building a side by side. Everybody puts on rims and tires. So I wanted to try to be a little bit unique, and I thought Metal FX had a good selection. They can customize your rims any color, design. I mean, they're with them, the sky is the limit. You know, you got a huge bankroll, man. You could do whatever colors, design. I mean, it's amazing what those guys do. Um, like I said, I talked to Mike a few times. He decided to become a group sponsor, and for me, probably from now on, I'll probably just roll with the Metal FX. Everybody's got methods and other different manufacturers, but I don't know. I just think the Metal FX are the cat's meow when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we are now going to go to part 2, which we will bring inside the Expedition.